Welcome, everybody, to episode 11 of the Hockey Toolkit. I am Trevor DiCarlo.
This is a confirmed episode 11. For sure.
Yes, for sure. I had to go. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I'm Andrew Trimble, and this could be a good one today. Good discussion points, good topics. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me too. We've been bouncing some ideas off the top of our heads the last couple days, and just kind of seeing where everything was at and seeing how things have been going. But what's been going on in your world? I've been seeing a lot of stuff about the Wolves lately on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, so our 16s are going to nationals, and then our EHL team was eliminated from the playoffs. Really tough series. Some of the worst officiating I've ever seen in my life, but that it is what it is. It's tough to win those types of series, but EHLP team won today. They lost game 1, rebounded in game 2 and game 3, and now they're headed on to the North Division finals. So that's nice. A definite bright spot. How about yourself, Trevor?
Yeah. So this let's see. Last week we had 1 day of evaluations for the 2014s that I'll have for the spring, and pretty simple. And then outside of that, got out of town. As we mentioned before, my old man passed away, so just decided to take a little bit of time. Went with family. Dropped my cousin off at the University of Minnesota, and actually got to watch the Gophers. I sent you that video. The Gophers played Michigan State for the Big Ten semifinals, and it did not. Yeah, it didn't start off very great for the Gophers first 10 minutes, but then after that, they dominated. I mean, Logan Cooley is unreal. Matthew, I think Nyes, or I can never say it right, but I think it's like a silent K. The Toronto Maple Leafs draft pick, Knaz maybe, I think. I mean, just that whole line, and then Snuggard from St. Louis. It was a phenomenal game. I really enjoyed it. It was great. The whole Mariucci arena was packed to the brim. So great atmosphere. Everything you're looking for from a college hockey. So
that's a cool, like you got those big arenas out in the Midwest. Those, the Michigans and the Minnesotas, and even Notre Dame's got a cool barn. Out in the East here, it's a little bit different. You have some of those ECAC schools which have really old rinks, like St. Lawrence has a really cool old rink. Vermont has a really cool old rink, Gutterson Fieldhouse. I think Princeton, which I used to go to a lot of those games with my dad as a kid, they have a really cool old like Ivy League rink. But then your Hockey East rinks are all like basically smaller NHL arenas. What's it like some of those schools out in the Midwest? I've never been on those campuses.
So, I mean, I got Mariucci. It's I believe it's an older stadium, but they've upgraded it. I've been to Yost a couple of times to coach in tournaments. We've been, they usually give like one game when you go out there. So that was kind of cool. It's got a little bit of an older field, but they've updated a lot of them. So like seating capacity, it's probably like 5,000-6,000. So wow. They are smaller arenas, but here in Illinois we don't have any D1 programs, unfortunately, so we don't really have much to compare it to. I'm trying to think where else out here, but
they gotta have the Fighting Illini. Gotta have.
They've been pushing for it.
It's gotta happen, right?
They just need somebody to come in and basically build an arena. And you don't even need an arena, to be honest. They've already got their old barn that they play in that has like no corners, but they need boosters is really what it is. They need the funding, and I know they've tried. They were really pushing, and everybody thought they were going to get it. Like they were right on the cusp, and then all of a sudden I haven't heard anything about it. So no idea why the Fighting Illini don't have a team outside of the money aspect.
Well, that's what happened to Penn State, right? Like Penn State was ACHA Division I for 30 years, and then they got the Pagulas, right? They
yep.
The Buffalo Bills owners, they I don't know what
Sabres,
it was.
Yeah.
It's crazy amount of money, and now they have the state-of-the-art facility, and they're right at the the top of the Big Ten, right? So
even the Illini were always like, for the longest time they were a top 10 team in the ACHA Division I. So, they had it, and they were right there on the cusp, and everybody thought they were about to make a big announcement, but again, you need some of those money, some of those
Yeah.
big time spenders to come build whatever it is takes, and then so
Who's the most
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
notable alumni for Illinois?
Alumni. I mean,
You
you'd
know?
have to go Chelios probably.
He didn't go. He went to Wisconsin, didn't he?
I mean, to play in Illinois, that went to. Oh, are you talking about University of Illinois?
Yeah, like
God,
he's like a big a hedge fund guy or like Steve Jobs or somebody. You know, like
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, I thought you were talking about like hockey players. I mean, I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head.
I'm gonna Google this. I'm gonna Google it.
You might as well, but I couldn't even tell.
Famous alumni, University.
It's
Illinois.
going to be an engineer.
That's what it's known for, the big school for engineering.
Engineering's a big school there, yeah. I mean, you even got
Nick Offerman.
He'll donate all of his money that he's made in those movies.
Susie, like the TV show lady, right?
Okay, yeah, that's two of them. Nick Offerman and
you have Jack Welch. He was the CEO of, was it Chrysler?
So how much he's got money?
He's got money.
See, he's a hockey fan.
Shel Silverstein, remember that wrote the book?
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Silverstein.
The Giving Tree.
Yeah, come on, you wrote about the tree that gives.
That's right.
So now you have to give back.
That's right.
Dan
Fogelberg, the songwriter for the worst Christmas song ever. My wife and I always kid around with that.
Is it the Mariah Carey version?
No, it's that Christmas song. You know what I'm talking about. It's like, it'll come to me. It's the worst Christmas song you could ever imagine. He wrote that. So there's some big names, but not like Jerry Orbach, another guy. Actor.
No, yeah. You don't got like a Jobs or a
Bill Gates.
Yeah, nothing like that. No, unfortunately, they all chose different. Actually, they all dropped out of college anyways.
But, that's true too.
So yeah, nothing from Illinois right now. But no, I mean, really, outside of that, it's been pretty quiet on the front for here for us. The only thing that has got me riled up, as you've seen on Twitter, is Illinois is now going to be doing 9U and 8U AAA hockey, so Tier 1, and it's rumored that they're going to also be doing 8U, it'll be 8U, basically mite hockey through AAU at the Tier 1 level.
Wow.
Which to me is just completely asinine, because why the parent, it's so frustrating because you're going to be paying so much money for your kid who's a mite or a squirt to be, training and doing this and that. And again, I don't know the coaches. I know some of them. I know who some of them are. Again, nothing. They're coaches. Some are better than others. But we're talking about kids that are like, I mean, they can't even do multiplication tables yet, or they're learning to. I mean, whatever the Common Core math is, I don't know how to do that stuff anyways. But yeah, but. Why are you paying that type of money? Why are we putting these elite labels on kids? Going back to last episode that we had where we were talking about, putting elite names on these teams and stuff.
Yeah.
Why? Those kids, I can guarantee you that roster will flip almost probably 75% over by the time they're midgets, by the time they're 16U, because just kids develop differently.
For sure.
And it's, and I know that kind of leads it a little bit into what you wanted, today's conversation about just tryouts. It's tryout season right now.
Yeah, I would say that, with regards to labeling things at that early an age level, I think the biggest, the scariest thing that parents don't always consider when they watch their kid play and they're like, well, he needs to work on his skating, he needs to work on his puck skills. Some of it might just be absolute burnout. And that's your biggest enemy. My son, Baron, last month of the season, he looks like he's not working hard out there because he's not. He's like, I love hockey. He does. But he needs a break. And you can't be doing it from September to February and expect them they're going to do another spring. And then you're going to do it all in the summer, go to camps. It's like kids just need a break to be kids, and they need to play other sports, and they need to be involved and meet new friends. And it's like, I think that's the one thing that they're overlooking completely is like, yeah, this might look good on paper, but are you considering all the other things that go into being an 8-year-old?
And again, I 100% agree. I've always been of the mind of, yeah, you should be doing other sports, or even it doesn't have to be sports. It can be something just different, whether it's playing an instrument or,
For sure.
Obviously stay away from they'll play their video games and stuff, but go outside and be a kid, play with the neighbors, whatever.
Yeah, we're not encouraging either. Like, oh, my kid, he's really getting into heroin. Like that's,
no,
like
that's not
one
what
of
we're
the
pushing,
things. It's
yeah.
not like, well, he's just really got a good group of friends. They smoke weed every day. That's awesome.
Right. No, that's not. Yeah, that's not what we're pushing. But let a kid be a kid, and this whole again, it just the whole let's do tier 1 at this level. To me, it's a money grab. That, and again, it's the labels, as we've said before, and as you just said, kids get burned out. I mean, the seasons are long enough as it is. Shorten them. And again, why are we putting labels on kids who literally probably just 2 years prior just learned how to skate? Why are we putting them in those groups? Let them, you're going to get your players at the tier 1 level. You will get your players. No doubt about it. Why are you trying to take them earlier? Well, the reason you're taking them earlier is so that you can collect that check. So you can collect that money and maybe develop 1 or 2 that'll stay with you through the course of a lifetime. But you and I both know that little Jimmy that's playing tier 2 hockey, hell, little Mikey that's playing tier 3 house hockey at 8 years old could easily jump one of, the killed those tier 1 kids within 3 or 4 years. We know that. But what is the point? What is the point of taking these kids and doing this? All it's doing is it's shrinking the pool for these tier 2 clubs, the tier 3 clubs, who are focused on development. And again, I could be sitting here, throwing, glass or throwing stones at glass houses or, in my glass house here. And I don't live in a glass house, but it's like, well, it's taking money away from them, but it's not. Like, we have a pecking order. We've got a system. Why do we have to break it down? And again, that's just, maybe it's not, maybe it's different. Maybe it's the same. I don't know what you guys do on the East Coast with that, if they have that at that levels, but to me, it's asinine, it's stupid, and no, again, I would gladly discuss this with anyone who wants to from Illinois hockey in a heartbeat.
Yeah, so I would just say that I agree with you in concept and principle. I think that most parents, they look at their kids and the kids see sick New Jerseys or playing with their friends, and they're like, oh, well, I really want that. And then the kid, the parents are like, I want to invest in my kid. So they like, they're like willing to pay that because they're investing in their kids. And what looks good on paper might be the thing you want to invest in, right? But inevitably, I think you have to look at your kid and evaluate your kid. What is right for your kid over the long term? And sometimes it takes a little bit of restraint. My son, Barron, was playing town hockey last year. This year, he went to a different program. We didn't choose that new program, the Seacoast Spartans, based upon like an increased level of play per se. We chose it because of the structure of the practices, because of the coaches. We chose it because there wouldn't be a lot of that. There was some discipline issues on his town team that really weren't addressed. And now he goes to a team that's really structured and doesn't tolerate those kind of discipline issues. And now he's able to make friends and have a different experience. So he played in a different league that was called what they call the Elite Nine out here in the East Coast. But I didn't choose that program based upon who they're playing or the level of competition. I chose it for the structure of the program, the quality of the practices, and the lack of drama. I didn't want any drama with, there was kids last year on the ice who were like, you had to babysit them. And there was no babysitting because the kids, they're paying a little bit more money, but they're also like, if you're not part of the team and if you're creating that drama, well, then here's your check back. And that's the kind of program I want to be involved in, where there's a level of accountability that you're involved in. And that was a good eye-opening experience this year. And Bear's going back next year. And it has nothing to do at all with any kind of, it could be It could be single A. I would still go back. It could be 12 A's. I don't know.
Right.
I don't
Right.
care. It does not matter. It's just about the structure of the program.
Yeah, and again, for me out here, it's everybody, just that Midwest mentality of like, oh, we got to do the best, got to be the best, always working, always doing this and that. So that's what it is. I mean, it's everybody chasing, those letters, those, triple letters, those, the patches, whatever the team is. And it's unfortunate because I've seen quality kids who, as I've said before, go to other programs that they could have been playing, out here on our tier 2 team, our AA team. They could have been playing there, but they went somewhere else that had, the little bit, they were in the higher AA bracket, hoping they'd make it there, and they get knocked down to A. And it's like, you could have just stayed here and played for us. And in my opinion, you've got quality coaches and quality program, this and that. And again, that's up to anyone's interpretation, but, you could have had all that, and you could have played with quality players that are like you, but instead, you're getting knocked down a peg, So it's like you try to take a step forward, but you took 2 steps back. So, I mean, that's where I'm at with it, but, my turn to try. Oh, go ahead. No.
No, they do call it silly season out here, and
Well,
it is that
it,
time of the year, and tryouts are a big thing. Trevor,
segueing skills are so good. I tried.
It's all good. This is episode 11, but by the time we get to episode 22, it is going to be a well-oiled machine.
This is why you get paid the big bucks here.
Yeah. Now,
but go ahead. Sorry.
Now the tryout. So if you could give advice, you could give one piece of advice to a kid, but then you could also give a different piece of advice to a parent. What advice would you give to each of those parents or each of those individuals? The kid, how they can perform all the tryouts, and the parent, what they should be evaluating about the organization of the tryout. You want to go first, or want me to go first?
Usually when you throw something out, it's usually me going first. So I'll let you go first.
Okay. With tryouts for kids, I would just say, treat every shift like it's an important shift. And some of the younger kids don't always get that, but they go out there sometimes and they think they want to hot dog a play, or they want to do something unique or different, but just play your game and try your best. That's the best I can say. And then let the chips fall where they may. And, the evaluation that somebody else gives you isn't always the end of the road, or isn't always, set in stone. You can change people's impressions at tryouts, and you can change people's impressions over the course of the year. So just go out there, give your best, and try to make every shift matter. Make yourself get noticed each shift. For a parent, I would say that the advice I give them is just what I said before. Really evaluate the program and what the program can provide, what kind of opportunity they can provide, what kind of structure they can provide for your kid, rather than focusing on, like you said, letters or sick jerseys or different equipment. None of that stuff matters at the end of the day. For a kid that, spent a lot of his life in his younger years with a lot of secondhand stuff, it doesn't matter. It's about you finding a love and a passion for the game, getting with like-minded people, and trying your best, and then having some fun and enjoyment in the game. That's the most important thing. What do you think, Trevor?
So I think, again, if we're talking about I think at the younger age groups, tryout wise, my advice for those kids is go out and have fun. Again, if you're having fun, you're going to most likely be playing your best. Now, I'm not saying go out and screw around, because if you're doing that, then that's different. But go out and have fun. You're gonna land wherever you land. So just go out, again, do your best, as you said. Work hard every shift, but have fun. The older levels, where we're talking like, probably like 14U and up. Still the same thing. Have fun, do your best, but at that point, really hone in on, doing your best every shift, and making sure that if you make a mistake, you know what, you don't dwell on it. Don't live in the past. Move forward. And again, that's what I, as a coach, as a scout, when I was out looking at players, the big thing is like, okay, so, this guy, number whatever, 92, he, he made a mistake here. How does he, what's his body language like? What's he going to do afterwards? Does he go back out and try it again? And hey, maybe whatever he was trying to do that it didn't work, or he got walked or whatever, this time he didn't. He learned. Like, those are the things I'm looking for. And that would be the advice is, just go out and give your best effort and let the chips fall where they may. There are things that are in your control and not in your control. For the parent standpoint, I agree. It's, I still feel like during tryout season, if you're evaluating programs, it's kind of a little too late. You should be doing your homework prior to tryouts.
Yeah.
But you know what? At the end of the day, though, go and be a parent. Be supportive of your kid. Whatever, any level that it is. Be supportive of them. And you know what? Again, let the chips fall where they may. My biggest thing that I've dealt with is when team selection comes out, you've got, again, I always ask for the 24-hour rule. Unfortunately, the club that I used to work for when I was director, they only had 24 hours to accept the spot, and if they didn't, they would get their money back. So unfortunately, you've got now pissed off parents who are coming off super hot if their kid didn't make the team that they think they should be on. So, and there's ways to go about it. If you're unhappy, that's fine. I totally understand. There's going to be selections that even as coaches, it's very tough. I hate tryout season. Honestly, I hate tryout season because for me, I mean, and again, you've gone through it. Right now at the junior age, you're able to sign players, so you're not fully, but again, I'm not taking anything away from you, but like I have to pick this upcoming fall. I'm going to have to pick, 13, 14 2014 players and a goalie or two. Completely brand new team, new slate. Like, I'm going to have sleepless nights because I don't want to cut these kids.
Yeah, I get that for sure.
I don't want to do that, but I also have to do what's best for the organization, for that team, but also for those kids. And if I don't think a kid's in the right spot, if I got it, and then I think someone else is better, again, younger ages, it's a little different. Older ages, you look more into the character and stuff, but I got to do what's best for the team. And I've always hated tryouts time. While it's exciting, it's also very anxiety invoking for us as coaches. So I can only imagine what parents go through. So if you're pissed off, you're unhappy, or you've got questions, you can go about it one of two ways. You can sit here, you can make phone calls and emails and just be real nasty, and again, that just makes the situation worse. Or you can go about it and say, hey, you know what? I see my kid didn't make this team. Can you provide any input? Provide any type of reasoning behind it. I would gladly deal with that parent than the one that's about to come over and cut my head off. Like, literally, not even rip it off, cut it off, because they're just psycho about how angry they are. So, again, my advice to parents, let the chips fall where they may. Go be a parent. Encourage your kid. They make a mistake, pick them up. Don't just, you should have done this, or the coach is looking for that. Just be a parent. Let them have fun.
I couldn't agree more. That brings us another, a topic of conversation in terms of tryout advice. Okay. A tryout advice you could give to a kid who's entering, a scenario where he may be trying out for a new team or is looking for a new team. What should that player be looking for when they choose a program? What kind of things is important to a player that goes in the process of choosing a program? Is it, I made the top level team at this level. Should I go there? Or is it like, I want to go here? What goes into that thought process of choosing a program? Your thoughts, Trevor?
I think with the younger players, I mean, it really, a lot of it, again, is just kind of where my friends are at and then whatever mommy and daddy want me to do. I think with the older players, though, I think a lot of it comes down to opportunity. But also friends. I mean, I've talked with players in the last couple of weeks that I coached this past season, talked with them and their parents, like what do we do? And I'm just like, well, what do you want to do? What is your ultimate goal here, and realistic goal, and, and go from there. And we've talked through all the different decisions, but if it's to play at the, highest level, look where you can possibly make that. Look at the openings, get your ear to the ground, talk to the coaches. Hey, my son would really love to play at this program, What are you realistically looking for, coming back? Is there any opportunities? And again, the good coaches that are out there will tell you, like, hey, you know what? I just had a great season with this group of kids. I think 1 or 2 are going to be leaving, so I might have 2 spots. Or they'll be up front and say, I don't have any spots. Or the bad coaches are the ones who are just in it because, hey, we can get that tryout fee. They'll be sitting there like, oh, yeah, just bring your kid out. There's plenty of opportunities,
That brings up another good point. Tryout fees.
Yeah.
So with the Wolves, I've always viewed tryout fees are like, I just want to cover the ice. I never charge $100 or $150. I've seen $75, $200, all sorts of different financial obligations for parents who already paid X amount of tuition for
It's
travel.
Like a pre-draft fee? You mean like a pre-draft tryout where you got to pay for, just for your tier 3 tryout?
I think it's absurd. I think really you want to get, you charge, we charge money. We had our tryouts this week and last week for our youth programs, and we charge $20,
it's nothing.
But it's something like that says, well, you're committed to coming here. Like, we know that you're registering online, so it's not like we have 40 kids showing up in the door and I don't know who's coming. It's like you're fulfilling an obligation. You're coming here. We expect you here. But it's not like, it's not backbreaking. And we want to have an opportunity where kids can come in for a small fee that they can try out. And if they make the team, great. If they don't, it's not like, well, I just wasted $100 on this program and I'm not even playing there.
Right.
But
right.
Some organizations look at that completely differently. They look at it as an opportunity for a moneymaker for their program. And I think they're really missing the boat.
And again, I think it depends on where you're at. Like I said before, here in Chicago, we would hold our tier 2 tryouts in like September, August. They pushed it back a couple years to August. Where you kind of had to put down it was like your deposit for the tryout fee. And if you didn't make the team, you would get your money back. And we're talking like maybe $200 or something. But you made a team that would go directly to your fees already. So it was like just built in.
Yeah.
Where, but we also did that because you'd get these kids that were, these parents who had visions of grandeur out there who would sit there and be like, well, my kid should have been on this team. We're going to go jump to so-and-so and play over there then. Well, it's like, okay, we're counting on you, to fill a roster spot. And if I cut a kid already and you don't take the spot, like now I'm in a situation of, I got to call a kid who got cut and offer them a spot.
That's really tough.
That's a tough situation. So
sure.
Then it's like, all right, well, you don't have to pay anything else, but we're keeping that, that fee. So it does kind of buy them in. So I guess it depends on the situation, but for you guys, I mean, you're having your tryouts now, or you already had your tryouts. I mean, again, $20. Again, different situation, I think, different scenario. But I know there's clubs that make you drop even more out here.
That's insane.
We're talking like $500 or even like $1,000 just and again, It's to hold your spot so that you don't jump somewhere else because you didn't like what you got.
I mean, I get why they're doing it, but I just don't like it.
No, I don't either. And I think the problem is that out here, and especially in Illinois, we've got too many damn teams.
Yeah.
We've got one club just merged with another one last year, and they're in the process of doing that because a company that I will not name just came in and bought 2 facilities, and they want to start their own new charter that was already had in that facility at their rink, already had a AA program.
Is that the Darth Vader of all hockey companies? Owns 36 rinks or something like this?
Yeah, it might be, something along those lines. Yep. There might be a roar in there, too. But it's just like that. And now, since, with the Hawks doing the way that they are at the NHL level, hockey's not the flavor of the month anymore. So now we had this giant influx of kids in the last 10 years, and it's kind of dwindled down. And now this is why everybody's pulling kids, and you've got people recruiting and everybody bending those rules, and it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you guys? So you just have your AA tryouts for this upcoming fall/winter season, right? You just had them.
Yeah, we just had them the last 2 weeks. We have a rule at the rink that we can't offer younger levels. That may change in the coming years. We've done a good job with our midget age teams, with 16U, with 18U. We actually have two 18U for their different levels. And we had all three of those teams tryouts. I expect our teams to be really good next year, really competitive. We're not cutting that many kids, but I always tell kids at the tryouts that, if there's not an opportunity here, you can email me and I'll try to find you a home. And, I generally keep to that. There's a lot of small town organizations north of us that are always looking for players. And if I can push that kid onto another program and it can give him an opportunity to get ready for his high school season or just have a hockey experience in general, I generally like to do that. I try not to be Darth Vader. That's I don't know if I'm quite Luke Skywalker. I don't have as much hair as him, but I do the best I can.
You have hair. But I mean, that's good though that you're pushing kids to other programs where instead of just trying to like, oh, you're done. I had a conversation with a parent who coached a couple, I won't say how long ago, but it was past few years ago. And I asked him, I said, he had one of the AA teams that were a higher level, at a different club. And I just said, hey, what are you doing with your, the kids you cut, how do those phone calls go? And he goes, what phone calls? I was like, what do you mean, what phone calls? Like, he's like, oh, I don't say anything to him. I don't tell him. I'm like, what about if the kid played for the team last year? Oh, well. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, how do you not? And again, if you're cutting like, 40 kids, 30 kids, what? Okay, that's different. But if you're talking about 5 or 6 kids, and again, this part of the job sucked.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I did not like it. We would call every family. And it would be probably, a couple hours after the tryout. And just be like, hey, Billy didn't make the team. We'll make sure you get your money back. If you've got any questions or anything, please give us, 24 hours and we can try and give you some info. And, I get yelled at by parents, it came with the territory, but,
that's not easy.
No, but when you kind of just like, I'm not going to take the kid. Like, that sucks. Like, and again, now this year for me, this fall, here I am saying what I just said. I got a bunch of kids that are going to be trying out for my team that, I'm going to have to cut. And, those families, if they want to reach out, I'll make it known that, hey, you can reach out to me, and ask. But give me some time. Like, give me 24 hours because I've got to set up everything with the kids that I currently now have. And now I got to go through and, make sure that I got my notes in order. And I want to make sure I give you the best information possible about your child, what they need to work on. But I also got to focus on the kids that I have too. So
now, what would you say that, what would you say is like the average turnaround and the average turnover? What would you say? Like, how quickly do you get that information out to parents, and how many kids from one year to the next get turned over on your rosters?
So speaking when I'll use my previous club that I was with because this one is still pretty fresh because I've jumped down levels too. Again, the turnover or the turnaround would be after the last night of tryouts. We would have about 3 nights of 50-minute sessions. And again, by kind of that the youth levels who you got coming in, and it's kind of a little bit of my myths, but you've got an idea. Who your top, your top 2/3, if not 3/4, are going to be. But it's those bubble kids. Those are the ones that you're really looking at. So after teams are picked, we would go in, we had the boardroom that we would reserve. Coaches would, we'd do evaluations. We'd have independent evaluators. The kids would have grades. And that was set up so that, if a kid was ranked, we got 30 kids out there and we're splitting them right down the middle, 15 skaters on each team. We don't want kid number 23 who's ranked 23 number-wise, and it's a pretty big gap between him and number 15 to suddenly jump over number 15 for some unknown reason. I mean, it basically just gives us more credibility and just say, hey, this is what we chose. Now, we did give coaches leeway saying, okay, number ranking. And again, I just actually had it because I was talking to a couple people about just tryout season. But we just evaluated your forward skating, backward skating, puck handling, shooting, competitiveness, compete level, defensive play, maybe hockey sense. And that's 7 things that was graded over the course of 3 nights, and
you didn't grade who's taller?
Yeah, no, we didn't do that. We didn't grade, who's got the heavier, well, I mean, we grade the shots, but, it was just all shots in general. But yeah, no, we didn't do the taller. We didn't do, who skated coast to coast, end to end. That wasn't one of them.
Well, I remember last year at the, a tryout, I was just at the rink here in Laconia, and I was commenting on somebody, and we were looking at similar players. I said, well, that kid's a good little skater. Just kind of give my little input as I walk up to the office, and he's like, yeah, but he's just way bigger. And I was like, we're looking at 8U kids. It's like, that kid is a pylon. He's a big pylon. And that kid can skate.
Great. Yeah.
I'd probably take the kid that can skate. I don't know. Call me crazy.
No, yeah, a little bit. No, not at all. No. And again, so we would compile the numbers just to make sure, again, we're transparent. It's fair. We wouldn't give parents the numbers that the kids got so that they couldn't compare with other people. But we did it with oversight. We used independent evaluators as well. So long story short, we'd go in, whatever kids didn't make a team. Like I said, I'd wait a couple hours depending on the time and make the phone calls. If it was way too late at night, I'd wait till the morning, make the phone calls. And then once every player had been notified, and sometimes it would be like, all right, look, I've called twice. Now I got to leave another voicemail about calling me back. We can't wait any longer. Here we go. We'd probably post it by, depending on the day. So if it was like a Friday, we'd try and wait till like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, because kids now have iPads and cell phones and, laptops at school, and they're refreshing the club's page every, 10 seconds to see if anything changed, to see what team they're on. So we would hold off to then, but if it was a weekend, we just fired away once everybody had been notified. And we still did that after that as well, before if it was a weekday, but we just made sure that it was later. But turnover wise with kids, I mean, my last year with the program, now just as I was looking for my 1099, so I could do my taxes, I came across one of my drawers, the score sheet from the last game that I coached with the club, and I'm looking at all the names, and I'm like, here's a kid who never played, when he was a squirt, when he was a mite, when, even a peewee, he didn't play travel, and now all of a sudden he is one of the best kids in the club. And he's on this team. So turnover-wise, you'd see it over the course of the years. It was just gradual. And again, as I've said before, your best mites are not going to be your best squirts. Your best are not always going to be your best bantams, midgets. So, and that's kind of my thing with the whole AAA thing. But,
yeah, sure.
What has your experience been with the tryouts?
I'm in a similar ballpark. It's never a good experience. It's never a lot of fun, really. We try to have good competitive teams, but we're in a small community here, so we have to pull in from other programs, and we try to support those other programs as best we can. I would just say in general, the kids that, like you said, that you can't always think this is the end of the road. If you get cut from one team, that should be fuel for setting yourself up to have success with the next team and having a good season ahead, and to prove people wrong. And I would say to parents that don't consider this like a slap in the face. It's just an evaluation of where your kid's at right now. It doesn't have any impact on where he's going to be in 3 or 4 years. and it doesn't have any impact on where he was 2 years ago. So it's an evaluation of where he's at now. But the future and the future opportunities are all up to him and what you want to invest and what you want to put the time in. There's so many stories. I was actually talking to Tim Kuhns, who's our EHL head coach. We were just mulling around different ideas, and he told me one of his years when it was either 10U or 9U, he didn't score a goal for the whole year. And he was an NHL draft pick. The same draft as Sidney Crosby. There was guys that picked out of him behind him that are still playing in the NHL. And he played 8 years of pro hockey. He's a national champion at Boston College. And one of his seasons, he didn't score a goal the whole year. So.
Now he was the goalie, but we're going to leave that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No.
That is a fact. He was not the goalie.
No. But again, parents, again, that's the big thing is even if your kid scores, let's say 3 goals in the tryouts and then you're watching, because we've done it where we've had closed tryouts. We've done it where we've had open tryouts. And again, when you're trying to push transparency, you do it at the open tryouts where the parents can sit in the stands and watch. And again, now they're watching this or they're watching that. Funny story. We did closed tryouts one year. And at the rink we were at, they had a fitness center that was upstairs that was between the 2 rinks. So they had windows that you could see out. So when I first started, they would basically paper over all the doors and stuff so parents couldn't see from the lobby, right? There was a dad who bought a 1-month membership to the fitness center, and he parked his ass on a bike in front of one of the windows that they didn't tape over because nobody thought that anybody would be in the fitness center evaluating their kids. And he watched all 3 nights from there. And it was the funniest thing. He's wearing jeans, nothing that looks like any type of, exercise equipment, sitting on this damn bike for 50 minutes. There's a couple of times where I know that a few of us would just walk over to the window and stand in front of it just to be those guys, but paid for a month of this park district that doesn't even live in that town. Wow. Never going to use again, just so he could watch his kid. And this kid ended up on my team, the second team. So
congratulations. Holy
yeah,
shit.
Exactly.
Well, I got a funny story of that too. That brings up a hot button topic. So we had a coach in our program. He was just this, completely self-absorbed narcissist who felt that every team he coached was only had any win because he was behind the bench.
No, those coaches don't exist.
So he was lucky enough. He has I believe like a 13, 14-year-old son now. But when he was 7 or 8, he was trying out in our rank, and he was actively involved in the youth hockey program in our rank. Now he's like 4 programs later, he's still kind of in our town. But he was suspended for a year from the youth hockey program in our rink because he dunked his kid's head into a trash can after a game and was like, this is my kid. So, you can't tell me what to do. And then he was suspended. He wasn't allowed to come in the rink, like during his team's practice, but he would watch from the Zamboni, like the exit Zamboni door has like holes in the, like a, what do they call those? Like a garage door that opens has holes. And he would,
yeah. He
would watch from the outside the rink, in the dead of January in New Hampshire, negative 10 outside. God. And he would watch practice. And I would exit the rink because I usually try to sneak out that door, not just to avoid conversations with people. And I would see him.
We all have that door.
Yeah. I would look through the glass and see him. I'd be like, "Hey, what's up, buddy?" And he would be like, "You're like just watching X, Y, and Z. He's not working today. He's not working hard on it." I'd be like, "Oh my God, you are missing the boat. Your kid's gonna hate you if he doesn't already."
Yeah, dunking his head in a garbage. Jesus.
I know it's insane. Some of the stuff you hear, it's insane.
Well,
can we implore everyone to improve their parenting skills?
Exactly. Yes, not only coaching but parenting skills as well.
But that's a good segue. That's a good segue into our 5 myths about tryouts today. I only got 2. I think my 2 are pretty solid.
They are.
I'm excited about my 2. What do you got, Trevor, for number 1? Go.
All right. So, on the hot seat here. Number one is myths of tryout is everyone has a chance. I would love to say that we live in a utopia where it's the truth. Everybody does have a chance. I, as a coach, have always said it's the truth that kids, when I coach, I'm trying to give every kid a fair chance. But you have to be realistic as a player, especially at the older ages, to know where you're at. How many kids, as we talked about, how many kids are returning? How many spots are open? You know, you have to be, if you're going to be taking someone's spot, especially for a birth year team that is kids are coming back, not only do you have to be better than them, but you've got to be heads and tails better than them. Because if coach is going to cut a kid that he had the year before, that's huge. And again, we're just like anybody else. We don't want confrontation. We don't want the stress and the BS that comes, that in general, I'm not saying it's BS, but that's confrontation. Nobody wants to have that conversation. So to say that everyone has a chance to make the top team, I don't think that's fair to say. I also don't think it's fair because I think, as we've already said, if you're trying to take someone's spot, a lot of teams are picked early. And again, so know where you're at, know where you're going, as we've said, kind of do your own homework, parents for the younger ages. If you want your kid to play on that top team, find out what they're looking for. Talk to the hockey director, talk to the coach in an appropriate manner. But again, realistically, not every kid has a chance.
And I would say to that, the tryouts are a test, right? And if you don't do the studying and the paying attention going into that test, no matter how hard you apply yourself for the test, if you don't know the information, you're not going to pass. So really, you've got to make sure that going into a tryout, you're realistic with your assessment. You want to be in that program. And then your kid really wants it and is working hard towards that goal of making that team. If they don't really want it, then go for a lower level team. And if they, maybe some kids are house league players because they don't want it to that extent. So I would say right. It's a test and that the tryout is the payoff. So
and again, if you don't make that top team, if you don't make that top team and you get bumped down to the bottom team, that's okay too. Again, if I'm not going to take a kid and take him just to take him because it's going to hurt his development. If he's not going to be ready to play or she's not going to be ready to play at that level, I'm not going to take you. It's plain and simple. I've had those conversations with the director or the board members saying, well, we budgeted for this amount. Well, guess what? This kid, it's not going to work out. And while it's my job to coach them up, there's only a certain level. And again, if there's a huge drop off from that bottom spot to that next spot, I'm not going to take you. I can't. It's not fair to the rest of the team, and it wouldn't be fair to yourself. So, all right, sorry. Number 2.
No, but actually, to reinforce, you brought up a great point. So, I've had the opportunity to do some camps with USA Hockey in the Southern District and also at the Rocky Mountain District. Not to be a douche or anything like that, but
no, those are awesome. That's fantastic.
So, but we have a great director down in the South District, and he'll ask, well, what do we have 6 spots for this birth year. We have 6 forward spots, 3 defenseman spots, and 1 goaltender spot. And we're looking at our guys. Maybe if there's 4 really top kids, and then 2 that are way far behind, he'll say, "What do you think of those last 2?" And sometimes they'll only take 4, and they'll give those 2 spots to another district within that affiliate, another affiliate within that district. And inevitably it opens up a spot. Maybe there's another goaltender who's right on the heels of that number 1, or maybe there's another defenseman who's right on the heels of that third defenseman who can get in now because they just maybe are really good in one position. So I think that honesty and that evaluation that makes a big difference because at all levels, it really does.
But you know as well as I do that there are clubs out there that are taking that 14th, 15th, 16th kid, knowing that they're not going to be as good, but they're doing it just because, hey, you know what? They look at it as a dollar sign sitting on the bench. And that's bullshit, but that's maybe for a different day. But I mean, that's the unfortunate part of it, is that there's clubs out there that do that, and it is what it is. So sorry. No, numero dos. That's you, sir.
Number 2 is independent evaluators. I like this idea in principle, but as Bill Parcells said, if you want me to cook dinner, you got to let me buy the groceries. And I am an advocate that when you look at just the product on the ice, it doesn't always tell the full story. Now, sure, 8U, 10U, that's a little bit different. Kids are really, they're still learning. They're with their parents. It's a little bit different. But, you want to, when you're opening up a contract for a kid, you're opening up a contract for that entire family. And you want to make sure that you have good chemistry in the room. You can have kids that are all kind of working together, that are not, there's not some kids who have discipline issues, and there aren't some parents who are discipline issues. So I would say the independent evaluator is great, but it's not a deal breaker. If your program doesn't offer independent evaluators, they're looking at the coaches, they're probably looking at the character of the parents as well. And that makes a difference. You want to make sure that you're in a program that is discipline focused, is accountability focused, and focused on getting every kid better.
So I like, and again, I like the independent evaluators. And again, as you said, you can use them up to a point. I used them again when I was running the tryouts. I used them for just ranking the kids' skills.
Yep.
They don't know. Some of them do because, even though they're independent, they might have worked with the kid in the past, depending on who the evaluator that I was able to get to come out. Most of the time, though, it was guys that just had never worked with, the kids before. And their job was to look at the skill, look at the effort, and then the coaches, and my job as the director, or when I was the coach, was to look at the whole picture.
Yeah.
So if I'm cooking the meal, okay, you can pick maybe, hey, what sides do you think might go well with this? But after that, everybody who's cooking that meal is going to be putting all of that together, and we'll use those things on the side, those suggestions here and there. And again, sometimes we did the number system. We did it where we took out all the numbers of all the coaches and just looked at what the evaluators had. And then sometimes we would take out the evaluators and look what the coaches had, to make sure the coaches are ranking kids fairly too. So I do like the independent evaluators, but they're not the end all be all,
For sure.
And again, it's just kind of more or less there as a CYA for the coaches and just the program in general.
All right, what do you got for Trevor?
Number 3 is again, what did I put? When it's over, it's over, and this kind of goes to the myth is, when everything is said and done with your player being selected, it doesn't have to be over in the sense of you can't find out, why they didn't make a certain team, because again, this is kind of talking more towards the parents of the players that might not make the top team, might not make the team they want. So it's okay to reach out for, to ask for some type of feedback. You have to do it as I said, in the right manner. I don't want as a coach to be getting, as soon as it goes out, blasted 20 minutes later in a long ass email about why I'm a terrible coach, why this other kid should have been on the team, this and that. Don't do that. Reach out to me in a inquisitive but appropriate manner of, hey, you know what? Okay, my kid didn't make the team. What does he need to do to get better? What was holding him back? I will answer that question. You might not like the answer that I have, and it may piss you off even more, but I'm going to give you that answer. So when the tryouts are over, it doesn't have to be over, but you got to make sure that you do it in an appropriate manner. And if you just want it to be okay, hey, you know what, Jimmy, you didn't make got a lot of Timmys, Billies, and Jimmys, I know, but
Johnny,
Johnny, yeah, hey, you didn't make the team, so you're gonna play on the second team this year. Okay, cool. Let's go grab ice cream. Like that's it. Your thing. That's your thing. If you're one of those overbearing parents, I guess you could say, who think your kid's gonna be playing the NHL, and you really, really need to know, or you could be just a parent who's inquisitive or wants to know. Again, do it the appropriate way. It's not over. And again, it's also not over for the rest of their life. It's 1 year.
For sure. And I also say with that too, like, I think at their core, the parents really know. You really know. Like you can look, and your kid doesn't always shit rainbows, man. Like You know if your kid's not as good, and that's okay. Right now, if your kid's not as good as other kids, that's okay. It's not a big deal. It's not a reflection of you as a parent. It's just like maybe your kid also likes to read books. Maybe he
Right.
likes to like go outside and look at butterflies. I don't freaking know. But like
Right.
it's not a reflection of your parenting skills if your kid isn't the best player every single year.
And again, as you just said, your kid just, to some coaches, your kid just isn't the best player that sometimes they feel like. And that's the coach's decision. They're not taking the best players, they're trying to take the best team.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But that being said, for your junior kids, just for those out there, if they don't make a team, do you want, the kids that make the premier team, and they don't make the top team? As a coach, and I told this to my cousin the other day who was playing football. He's going to be a junior, so he'll be eligible to play varsity. I said, what position are you going to play? And he played the last 2 years as a wide receiver and a cornerback. I said, what position are you going to play? Are you going to start next year? He's like, oh, yeah, we got this. We went through the whole thing that I would do with a hockey parent. Like, oh, well, we got this many kids coming back, this and that. I said, have you ever gone up and asked the coach, like, hey, what do I got to do to make the team? And he's like, what do I need to do to become a better player? Like for you to start possibly next year. Like you as a coach, if a kid gets put down on the premier team, wouldn't you want that kid to come up to you and ask you afterwards in an appropriate manner? Like, hey, hey, Coach Trimble, what do I need to do so that I can play, next year on this team or get called up, in the middle of the year? What are the weaknesses that I need to do?
Yeah, for sure. I love that feedback. And those conversations are some of the best conversations you can have with a kid. If it's like in the right context. If a kid comes up to you right before the game, if you're about to start, that's not a great time. But like on a Tuesday afternoon, hey coach, I was out of the lineup for this last weekend. I think I can contribute more to the team. Where do you see my role? What can I do to get more, get in the lineup more? What can I do to get, have a bigger role in the team? Those are good questions. And sometimes
I love those players.
Sure. And sometimes truth hurts, like I had a conversation with a kid on our premier team and he asked me like, coach, and I'm just like an assistant sometimes with the premier team. We have a head coach for that. And he asked me like, oh coach, what can I do to get more playing time? And I said, well, you should talk to the head coach. Cause this is a kid I recruited. And I said, you should talk to the head coach. But when I saw your recruiting film that you sent me, I saw a really physical, actively engaged player. You sent me a video like 4 minutes long of mostly you hitting guys and being physical. And I haven't seen you hit anybody since you slammed the door after you left your car when you came for training camp. So
right.
Like you can be more actively involved. And he was like, yeah, you're right. And he had an honest assessment of himself. And I think that's where you get to a really good place is when you can have an honest conversation back and forth. And the kid can have a realization that they can do more.
Again, those are the players that I've enjoyed working with the most. The kids who, after every game with the older levels, I'd stay. I wouldn't go mingle with the parents. I would sit outside the locker room, and I told the kids, "Hey, if you want to talk to me and Coach Matt, because you're not doing a one-on-one, safe sport, you got to make sure you do that, and even though you're in the hallway, but just say, hey, if you want to talk to us about the game, anything like that." I'm here for you. Like, we'll talk. And the amount of kids that have come up to me, those are the kids who have questions. They're great character kids.
For sure.
And they get better because they come up and say, hey, coach, I know I didn't get a lot of ice time today. You took me off the penalty kill. What do I need to do? This and that. Or I love that. That tells me they're learning. They want to learn. They want to get better. It's
Definitely.
the kids that just sulk, whatever. I'm going to go get mom and dad's car and we're going to bitch about the coach the whole time. Like, what? Okay, what is that going to get you? It's going to get you nowhere besides having that shitty attitude. So, sorry. But yeah, what do you got? What do you got for number 4, coach? Numero.
You got to score. I would say that in looking at Tryout, I'm looking at the overall picture, a kid's overall skill set, their ability to skate, their ability to move the puck, play with their head up, ability to shoot, their compete level, their puck skills, their awareness. I'm looking at all those things. If you score the most, I don't really count goals and assists at a tryout. I'm looking at their overall picture of their play. So I would say that a kid, yeah, you want to score for sure. You want to score. But if you're neglecting all the other responsibilities that it goes into making a good hockey player, then you're placing the wrong emphasis on your game. You should go out with the opportunity. You're going to work your hardest. You're going to play a complete game. And as a byproduct of that complete game, you're going to try to score, but not just score. Do the whole thing.
Absolutely, 100%. I'm only looking at kids that are putting the pucks in the net. Yeah, that's great. But what are you doing away from the puck? What are you doing? Are you back checking? Because if you're not back checking, I don't have time really. I mean, unless you are the next Ovechkin, or the Ovechkin for that level. I don't have time. Like I need to see that effort, and that was one thing we added at the very end of the eval sheet was you could grade a kid on 1 to 3, and 2 being average, 3 being above, well above average, 1 being just and that stood for, hey, it was hustle. Was if the kid was hustling hard, you gave him a 3. If the kid was just okay, yeah, he's skating, he's working hard, but it's just average 2. The kid just being lazy as shit, you gave him a 1. And you know what? Sometimes that could make or break a kid, but that was a great indicator for us to sit back there and say, you know what? When a parent would call, hey, we're looking at your kid. Everybody had him, didn't think he was hustling really hard, and that's a good way to make or break a kid. So yeah, I mean, I agree. It's not always about scoring goals, which kind of led to number 5, which was I was afraid this might happen, but it didn't. It did and it didn't. So one of my Don Cherry favorite lines here was, my thing is you have to do everything. Like you got to go out and do everything. The emphasis, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta be this player, I gotta be that player. The big thing, is you've probably heard it, if you're going from being a crusher, to a rusher, you're gonna end up being an usher. In the sense of like, look, play your strengths. If you're a defensive defenseman, I don't want you, it's great, you try carrying the puck up, but don't be trying to dangle through everybody. Like, move the puck, make the smart play. That's what I want to see. If you are that, Cale Makar out there who can make those plays, then go fucking make those plays. But if you're the Adam Foots or the, I don't know, give me, the Jake McCabe's of the world who are, more defensive, be that guy. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see guys trying to be in roles that they're not suited for because we see it. Now that doesn't mean like if you're a 3rd, 4th line grinder, like, get over the red line, just dump it right away. Well, I mean, chip it if you have to, go around a guy and then show us that you're aggressive, you're feisty in those corners. That's great. But don't be someone you're not. And I think a lot of players try to do everything out there just to be noticed. And again, it comes back to a lot of it is just a lot of kids just try to do everything on the offensive side. I want to see what you can do on the defensive side. Can you win those board battles? Can you get yourself in, good position to receive the puck? What do you think, Coach?
I think that's great. I couldn't agree more. I remember having a conversation, and I'll mention his name because he remembers the conversation, I'm sure. He played on our EHL elite team that in 16-17, Seamus Egan, and I referenced Lou Lamorolo quote when I was talking to him, and I said, Seamus, you're part of an orchestra, and there are strings, there are horns, and there are percussionists. You're playing right now with a guy on the strings. We have enough strings players on that line. We have another guy. He's the horn player. We don't need another horn. We need a percussionist. Now, if you want to be something else, that's fine, but you're probably not going to be on that line. And I think you like playing on that line. But if you want to be on that line, you're going to have to find a role, and you're going to have to be a percussionist. You're going to have to be physical. You're going to have to get pucks in deep. You're going to have to win your battles, and you're going to have to be steady each and every shift. And he got that point, and he played well, and he was a nice player who ended up playing in college hockey for us, and we wish him luck in he's probably in the business world now, about 25 or 26. And big shout out to Seamus.
And again, I think these are all I think this has been a very, I know we didn't have any guests for this one. I think it was a little bit more of a raw discussion for us just to talk about a whole kind of riff on a bunch of different things. I think I've really enjoyed this this topic, especially because, on the East Coast, there's teams that are doing their tryouts out here in the Midwest. A lot of the tier 1 teams are going to be doing their tryouts in about a month or so. And then we get tryouts that are going to be happening, in the fall. So there's always tryouts everywhere. I think this is one that'll definitely sit well over time. What do you think, Coach?
I couldn't agree more. And I hope that kids, take some of this information and apply it to their games. And then I also hope that parents get a deeper understanding what a tryout's all about. Nobody's trying to hurt your kid. That's the last thing we want to do. But we want to put yourself in a position, your kid, for success. And if your kid is picked for the second team, we probably think that's the best fit for him. And he can have a great year playing on that second or third team. And that's where he fits right now. And it doesn't mean it's the end of the road. There's opportunities in the future. It's up to him.
Absolutely. Well, I think that wraps up episode number 11 here with the Hockey Toolkit. Anything else you want to add, Coach, before we sign off here?
No, it's, hope everybody has a happy St. Patrick's Day. That's big in Chicago, right?
The river's already green, so that unfortunately I was out of town. I missed it, though. I've never actually seen it in person. I guess I'll have to put that on my list for next.
It's a bucket list, year. Bucket list.
Yeah, but that's how's the hockey planner? I'm loving it. You're pumping stuff out now like daily.
Thanks, man. I actually I've worked out a secret thing. That's my Sunday nights, man. I put all 5 stories up there in the week, and I am, I like it. I got a good system for it. Works out pretty well. I got a good one coming out Monday too. You're gonna want to read Mondays.
I'm reading them every day, anyways. So, but yeah, if you're out there listening and you have not subscribed to that, please type in the hockey planner. You can type it in Google and type in, I would add Substack, and it'll probably pop right up there. We'll also link it in the show notes and on Twitter. So, Coach, great talking to you, and hope you have a good rest of your week, and we'll see everybody next time.